I would never want to be with a nigga that burnt me while I was pregnant. I would never want to be a bitch like that. I would never be telling random people that my baby daddy burnt me. I would never tell nobody no shit like that. I would never tell random people that my baby daddy cheated on me our whole relationship, my whole pregnancy, that he cheated on me. I would never, you could never get me to tell no shit like that to no random people that I don't. I would never.
Just felt like everybody's reaction, her reaction, everything, it made it seem like nobody cared. And I was like with tears in my eyes, arrest her. I was like, I don't know what else I need to do. I will sign complaints. I don't know what else you need me to do. You need to arrest her. Like, I felt so much like rage because no one was like understanding what calmness and how cruel they could be, just standing there, him without tears in his eyes and her just standing there like if she's like, she had the right to take somebody's life. She had the right to snatch somebody from this earth. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I heard 5 rounds actually. Yeah, and the only reason the cop was on scene and he was unloading the gun and he was like, it froze. So the only reason why she stopped was because the gun got stuck. Otherwise, it probably would have she probably would have still kept shooting.
You know what a setup looks like when you see one. 2 cars blocking an exit. A woman with a concealed carry. A man who knows exactly where to position himself. And a mother who just dropped her baby off at school, walking straight into a trap she never saw coming. But here's what nobody's talking about. The shooter, Holly Johnson, she made a video months before. And in that video, she said something that changes everything about how we understand what happened on that September morning in Chicago. By the time this story ends, you'll understand why Holly Johnson walked free after shooting Romica Meeks in the face. And why the witness who saw everything is now saying things that contradict what the family believes happened. Before we dive deeper into this tragedy, if you're watching this because you care about justice for Romica and her son, hit that subscribe button right now. Share this video, because what you're about to hear needs to reach every corner of social media. The truth needs to be heard. Romica Meeks was 31 years old, a mother, a certified nursing assistant who spent her days caring for the elderly. On September 8th, 2025, she wrote her son a note, dropped him off at school near Cermak Road and State Street in Chicago's South Loop, and thought she was heading to work. But Romica had a complicated history with Carlos, her baby's father. They'd been together since 2016. Back in June 2017, she posted on social media with him, writing, "That look you give me. They hate, I give you a vibe you can't get nowhere else." The relationship ended. Carlos moved on, had another baby with Holly Johnson. And on February 20th, 2025, Carlos announced his new son's arrival, posted the footprints, called him Baby Carson. Then on April 7th, he wished Holly a public happy birthday. 5 months later, Holly would pull a gun from her passenger seat and shoot Romica multiple times. But wait, because there's something else. Romica had posted something that her family just released. It was set to private, but it tells us everything about the dynamics here. She wrote, "I got this female blocked on every social media and she's still finding a way to lurk, but tell people I stalk her. 2 women, 1 man, a pattern of harassment, and a collision course that would end in blood on a Chicago sidewalk. Now I need you to listen carefully to what comes next, because an eyewitness has come forward. Someone who was there from the beginning. Someone who called 911 first. And their account doesn't match what anyone expected. The witness was on the bus when it started."
I was actually the one at the scene. So I was the one that was yelling out to arrest her, because everybody wasn't doing anything. I was actually the one who called the cops first. And I saw them when they were fighting in the beginning. And I was like, this is not right. He was slamming her with the door when she was standing in her door frame, not even close to the female on the other side. So she was literally standing on the other side of the road, and her baby daddy was literally slamming the door on her back. So she went back into her car, came back out, and then this was when the baby daddy walked towards the other baby mama.
After Romica was dead, Carlos walked up to Holly and fist bumped her. They told police it was self-defense. Remember that video I mentioned at the beginning? Holly Johnson recorded herself months before the shooting. And every word of it sounds different when you know how the story ends.
I would never be begging a nigga to be with me after he got a baby on the way. I would never be having matching t-shirts on with a nigga that got a baby on the way. I would never be trying to play family with a nigga that got a baby on the way. I would never want to be with a nigga that burnt me while I was pregnant. I would never want to be a bitch like that. I would never be telling random people that my baby daddy burnt me. I would never tell nobody no shit like that. I would never tell random people that my baby daddy cheated on me our whole relationship, my whole pregnancy, that he cheated on me. I would never, you could never get me to tell no shit like that to no random people that I don't know.
She goes on, mocking Romica's job, the job where she cared for elderly people, gave them dignity in their final years. Mocking that Romica's car was in the shop, building a narrative of superiority.
I would never want to have a job to where I'm wiping old people and giving old people showers and feeding them and shit. I would never want to have a job like that. I would never want to have a job that my car was in the shop for 2 years. I couldn't get it out. I would never want to have a job like that. I'm wiping and I ain't got no car still. I would never want no job like that. I would never want to be with a nigga that done got so pregnant during the time that I've known him. I would never want to be with a nigga like that. I would never want to be with a nigga that done played in my face for damn near 10 years. I would never want to be with a nigga like that. I'm getting me a new nigga ASAP. I would never.
Wait. If you're getting a new man, why are you at your current man's house with a gun? Why are you meeting up with him to confront his other baby mama? What kind of moving on is this? Here's where this case takes another turn. Holly Johnson was arrested at the scene. The witness and others screamed for police to arrest her. She had blood on her. The gun was hidden in her car, not handed over like someone claiming self-defense would do. Holly's response to the witnesses? She called them snitches, said it was self-defense, claimed she had a concealed carry permit, as if a permit gives you the right to execute someone who's unarmed. Then something happened that nobody can fully explain. The Chicago Police Department released Holly Johnson without charges.
Hi, good afternoon, you all. According to CPD, the person who was taken into custody after the fatal shooting of 31-year-old Romica Meeks Blackman has been released without charges. Blackman's family is eagerly seeking justice.
Someone has to pay for this. It's not right.
Surrounded by family and overwhelmed with grief, Romica's mom, Tina McMiller, says she's, as you can imagine, heartbroken after losing Romica to gun violence on Monday morning. Romica was dropping her son off at school near Cermak State when
A woman shot an unarmed mother in broad daylight, in front of witnesses, after announcing she was going to do it, and she walked free. The official line? It's still under investigation. They need more evidence. More evidence? There were multiple witnesses. The victim was unarmed. The shooter announced her intentions. The victim was trying to get away when shot. What more evidence could they possibly need? Some are saying Holly claimed self-defense because Romica had previously been violent, that there was a restraining order. But think about this. If Holly had a restraining order against Romica, why did Holly show up where Romica was? Why didn't Holly leave when she saw Romica's car? Why did Holly provoke the confrontation? And here's something a concealed carry instructor pointed out. If Holly was from out of state, she shouldn't have had her gun readily accessible in Illinois anyway. Different states, different laws. Her weapon should have been locked up, unloaded, ammunition separate. We need to talk about Carlos. Because Carlos is the center of this tragedy, and yet he hasn't been charged with anything. Think about what the witness saw. Carlos physically assaulting Romica with the car door. Carlos grabbing Romica and holding her. Carlos announcing that Holly was going to get her gun. Carlos fist-bumping Holly after the shooting. This wasn't a fight between two women that got out of hand. This was coordinated. 2 cars to block an exit. 1 person to restrain. Another to shoot. All we have is her blood on a Chicago sidewalk and a little boy without his mother. The family is calling for justice. They're sharing the witness testimony. They're pushing back against the narrative that Romica was the aggressor. They're asking the questions we're all asking. How does someone shoot an unarmed woman and walk free? As we near the end of this update, let me leave you with the questions that keep me up at night. Why were Carlos and Holly in separate cars if they weren't planning something? Why did Holly happen to have her gun readily accessible if she wasn't expecting violence? Why did Carlos announce Holly was going to get her gun before she did it? Why did they fist bump after Romica was dead? Why was Holly released without charges when there were multiple witnesses? And the biggest question of all, is this what passes for justice now? You can shoot an unarmed mother in broad daylight and walk free if you claim she was mean to you on social media? Romica Meeks was not perfect. Nobody is. But she was a mother who had just dropped her son off at school. She was a woman trying to move forward with her life. She was unarmed when she died. Holly Johnson made a choice that morning. She chose to bring a gun. She chose to confront Romica. She chose to announce she was going to shoot. And she chose to pull that trigger. Carlos made choices too. He chose to assault Romica with a car door. He chose to grab her and hold her. He chose to announce what was coming. And he chose to fist bump her killer instead of trying to save her life. The Chicago Police Department made a choice. They chose to release Holly Johnson without charges. Now we have a choice. We can let this story fade away. Let Romica become just another statistic. Let her son grow up knowing his mother's killer walked free. Or we can demand better. Share this video. Tag the Chicago PD. Tag the state's attorney. Ask why Holly Johnson is free. Ask why Carlos hasn't been charged as an accomplice. Ask why 2 people can coordinate to kill an unarmed woman and face no consequences. Because if we don't ask these questions, if we don't demand these answers, then Romica died for nothing. And somewhere out there, another woman is trapped between a manipulative man and his new girlfriend, and she's about to become the next victim of a system that doesn't protect the vulnerable. Justice for Romica Meeks. Justice for her son. Justice for every woman who's ever been caught in a toxic triangle and paid the ultimate price. If you've made it this far, you care about justice. Hit subscribe. Share this video on every platform you have. Comment with hashtag Justice for Romica. And remember, the witness risked everything to speak up. The least we can do is make sure their courage wasn't in vain. The truth is out there. Now it's up to us to make sure it's heard.
I was actually the one at the scene. So I was the one that was yelling out to arrest her, because no, everybody wasn't doing anything. I was actually the one who called the cops first. And I saw them when they were fighting in the beginning, and I was like, this is not right. He was slamming her with the door when she was standing in her door frame, not even close to the female on the other side. So she was literally standing on the other side of the road, and her baby daddy was literally slamming the door on her back. So she went back into her car, came back out, and then this was when the baby daddy walked towards the other baby mama. After this happened, he grabbed her by the waist. She tried to wiggle away from him. Her arm was like literally almost getting free, with his arm around her neck this time, because he was holding her by the waist in the beginning and she wiggled out, you know. After this happened, he had her in the, like, almost looking like a headlock to me on the side, and then the other baby mama stated, "I'm gonna shoot you, bitch. Watch me shoot you, bitch." And he stated, "Oh, she's gonna go get her gun. She's gonna go get her gun. Watch." And after this happened, she ran to the passenger side of her vehicle, grabbed her gun, went around, and when the mother, you know, who slipped away from him for at least like maybe a good second, as soon as she slipped away, she shot her. And she shot her in the face, on her side, and in her thigh. And I saw him like holding her for a split second. Maybe he was in shock, but after he was in shock, I guess he picked her up, and when she was falling, like a gush of blood fell, you know, like out of her body. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing? You know, like, I don't know, everybody else sees movies, you know what I mean, and they see put pressure on the wound. You know, why weren't you putting pressure on the wound? Why weren't you caring enough? This supposedly was your first baby mama, because when I was on the bus, I heard him and her screaming, and she was literally saying, she was like, "I just dropped off my fucking baby." What? I just dropped off my fucking baby. Are you guys kidding me? As soon as I got off the 21 bus, and trust me, they got it. You know what I mean? Everything that I literally had to, I wasn't gonna let her die like that. You know, I literally looked into her eyes. That hurt me. You know, she says she dropped her baby off, and you don't know who she is. You know what I mean? And I was like, arrest her. She needs to get arrested. You know what I mean? They weren't even thinking. There was another black female cop who came up, and a Mexican shore cop. And I pointed out, I was like, the guns in her car. Why wouldn't you give him the gun if supposedly this was, you know, a self-defense? You know what I mean? If it was hey, here's the gun, this is what happened. It was no self-defense. I swear to you, it did not look like no self-defense. It looked like you shot her because you were just angry or something. You know what I mean? And to me, when she shot her, it wasn't the female that got shot, she wasn't with any gun. She didn't have no weapon, no knives, no nothing. So what was it that frightened you so much? You had to run around your car, go into your passenger seat or whatever the case is, and you reached in to get your gun and shoot this woman, you know? So to me, it was a senseless, they were arguing because she was pulling up, and I guess they ended up parking. Why was her car parked on the sidewalk? Because I seen she ran towards the sidewalk to get her gun, and it was a small black vehicle, and he had a black truck, I think. And literally, he came out of his truck looking like real, like he wasn't like on anything but being like mischievous, like nothing but like what was, like he was planning something, you know what I mean? And I called the cops on the first time I called the cops, it was because he was attacking her, you know, and the other girl was just yelling at her, and she was arguing back. So there was nothing going on for her to be like, oh, I'm gonna step back over here to go get my gun, you know? She was nowhere near her. But that's all I gotta say. And I know for a fact that she did get arrested, but he got let go. So hopefully, you know, for what I said and what I witnessed, I just don't want to be, you know, put on the stand or anything to say. I did put a statement in because I know it's necessary. You know, it was a ridiculous, you know, I'm a mom too. I wouldn't want my baby to hear like that, you know, and I wouldn't want me to be laying in the ground. She's a sister, you know, she's a mother, she's a daughter, she's somebody to everybody. She's a friend, you know, and that was bogus to just stand there and look at her like she was nothing, you know. To me, I was literally so mad. My boyfriend was also really mad. He was yelling at them. I don't know if you noticed. He was there too, and I was on the phone with him while this was happening, I would call back at him, and he was like, what's going on? I was like, please hurry. And I even had him run that way. I was like, you need to run that way to go see if he's okay. Go see if everything's okay. What's going on over there? What's going on? Is she laying in the go see if she's okay, you know? And it's just senseless that I felt like I had to go send my boyfriend over there because he was just standing over her, like, you know, like, I don't know. But I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for letting me speak. Like, it was a different, like, you know, argument. Like, it wasn't even like she was arguing with her, you know what I mean? Yeah, she did get back out of her car, but it was because the other woman was antagonizing her, you know, and she was acting like she wanted her to come out the car. So then she came out of the car, you know, and I don't think she expected to get shot. No one ever, like, expects to get shot, you know what I mean? But to me, I felt like what I seen, it was unnecessary, and to the point where, you know, it was senseless. And, you know, I don't know what came over her to even think to go get her gun, you know what I mean? Like, I thought they gave people training for that, you know, because the girl literally ran from the side of the sidewalk and then went in front of her car and Miss Meeks' car and started like yelling stuff out. That's where I actually got off the bus, and then I started getting close, and then like, just to hear what was going on. And it started getting hectic. And then at that point, I was already telling the cops they needed to hurry to come and get the situation handled, because they were in the middle of the street arguing, you know. And I was like, he literally was slamming the door on her back, like, please go help, you know. She was yelling that over the hood, right? But when she came out of the car, she said, what? Like, she was like, what, bitch? Like, you keep coming up to my car. What's up? You know, because she kept coming up to her car. And, like, every time she would go back into her car, she was, like, you know, trying to get her out of the car. So then that's what to me, it seemed like the only reason why she came out of the car was because the other woman, Miss Johnson was, like, antagonizing her.
Provoking her.
He was just standing there looking. Well, I just seen him looking, like he was just looking, you know. And to me, I didn't know what his plans were, what the plans were between each other, you know. To me, what I witnessed is, you know, that he was standing right next to her, and he didn't say anything, but they were arguing. And then once Miss Meeks walked up to Carlos, Miss Johnson ran to the sidewalk, and then Carlos snatched her up by the waist, and then she was wiggling out, like, almost. And then when she almost wiggled out, he had her by the neck because she was like wiggling down, you know. I honestly, I just seen that when she got out of got out of it, like, she was literally going the other way. She wasn't going towards her, you know? So it just looked like she was trying to get away, you know, at this point. She was scared, you know? And I seen, like, she was scared. Like, it was a different, like, you know, when you see somebody's movement and you could just tell, like, run to, you know what I mean? That's what I seen, you know? And when she, like, there was no reason for, like, Carlos had her already, you know what I mean? There was no reason for her to go get her gun. You know, it was unnecessary, I think. But yeah, they did. Holly's car was already parked, right? Holly came out of the parked car, and Carlos was in a black truck vehicle. I think it was a Mercedes, and Miss Meeks was in the white car. So she was already, like, I think she just said, and she yelled out that she was just dropping off her kid, like, what's going on, you know? And so to me it looked like, you know, like, it looked weird, you know what I mean? Because I was telling the police that she had her baby inside her car, you know. So I was like, that's her baby, the baby's in the car, you know. I was like, you need to arrest her. Like, why aren't you guys arresting her? And then she was all like, oh, and by the way, I don't know if anybody caught the video or anything, but Carlos goes up to Holly and fist bumps her and says, what? Yeah, it was it was self-defense, right? It was self-defense. And she was like, yeah, it was self-defense. Yeah, and he goes up to her, and they were both said, they looked at each other and it was self-defense, right? He was like, yeah, it was self-defense. I'm actually not sure. I didn't, I just witnessed what I witnessed, and
it's just awkward to have.
But there was plenty of people on the sidewalk that they were shouting out to arrest her and everything, and the cops did, at least they did, did their job, and they did, what they had to do, because, it wasn't for them, she wouldn't be like in handcuffs right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? She called me a snitch, and then I said, I don't care, I'm gonna sign complaints. And then what's it called? She was frustrated, and she was saying, she was like, I have a concealed and carry, and I was like, I don't give a fuck. You shot somebody, you know what I mean? And the other girl was like, yeah, the gun's in the car. And I was like, bro, I've been said the gun's in the car. It's in the passenger side. You guys you just stashed it for what? What you stashed it for? If you was like a self-defense, then why the fuck did you why didn't you just hand them the gun? You know what I mean? But she didn't hand them the gun. She hid the gun. You know what I mean? So to me, I was like, bro, what was this? Like, what was this right now?
Mm-hmm.
And the cops were like, they were like, who was it? I was like, her. Arrest her. And they arrested her. She had blood all over her because, I was like, I would assume they would have arrested her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I would assume they would have arrested her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But she was trying to get away with that self-defense and 2 people on one, but they so dumb. They did it in front of everybody, just so reckless and careless. Yeah. So when she got locked up, did she say anything to y'all? Did she look at y'all funny?
Yeah, when she was walking away, she looked at me and looked at, my boyfriend, and she was like, whatever, y'all fucked up for this shit. It was self-defense. I got a restraining order on her.
What?
Yeah, so I was just like, it doesn't matter. Like, you shot someone, you didn't even, you think to be like, hey, let me, rethink this, not, why would you pull out a gun?
To go there. That's just a lie. She ain't nothing but a liar. Holly, you a liar. You are sick, Holly. Because Miss Meeks got a restraining order out on homeboy, Carlos. That's a restraining order.
So she probably got a restraining order because of out of spite then.
Restraining order. You can't trust a snake. I'm gonna need to see them papers. Holly Johnson is a liar. She's a snake, and she is an agent of Satan. That's what she is. Okay. Now, Mr. Man, what's his name? Carlos. What was his response when Holly got arrested? How was he looking?
He turned away and he ran to his car. He wasn't even paying attention to Miss Meeks or anything at all. By that time, my boyfriend started telling him, don't you feel remorse? Don't you feel bogus? You didn't do anything. You just stood there. You didn't even say anything to him. Support her, back her up. He was like, isn't that your first love? Didn't you have a baby with her, bro? She just dropped off her kid. Are you kidding me? You're a coward. And then he looked like it wasn't him being sad or anything. He was it looked like he was mad about something because of his ego was hurt, so he tried to run at us, me and my guy.
What?
And he was trying to act like he was gonna fight us, and that's when the cop came in between us. And then one of the cops was like, leave the scene. And I was like, well, I need to put my statement in. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put my statement in. And then Carlos walked away when he was giving me a look, but my guy was literally standing there too, what the hell, But at the same time, he didn't get to see most of it. I did, so he, I appreciate that. And I know that, he was doing it out of, the goodness of his heart. Cause I honestly was crying, and I was like, babe, please go and help her. I was like, I don't know, what made her do that right now. And he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, please go save her. I don't want her to die. And I started crying because I was looking at her, and I started freaking out because I just, the scene, everything, it was just horrific. I was so in shock, I guess you would say, literally. And I just felt everybody's reaction her reaction, everything, it made it seem like nobody cared. And I was like with tears in my eyes, arrest her. I was like, I don't know what else I need to do. I will sign complaints. I don't know what else you need me to do. You need to arrest her. Like, I felt so much like rage because no one was like understanding what calmness and how cruel they could be, just standing there, him without tears in his eyes and her just standing there. Like, if she's like, she had the right to take somebody's life, she had the right to snatch somebody from this earth, you know what I mean? Like, and to think to be like, let me look at her and tell her like everything's gonna be okay. He didn't even do that, you know what I mean? He literally like looked at her, stood there, and didn't do anything. Like, his face was like, when somebody dies and you love them, and even though you might have a little like, hate or whatever case is, you still have that heart in you. It should have hurt it. There should have been at least a tear in your eye, and there was not one. I just that's pretty much it. But that's all I gotta really say, and I really do thank you for letting me speak out and telling the truth about what I seen and what I heard and everything. I just hope that they find grievance, and that no matter what it is, that they come out stronger. And I hope that whatever I did or what I could do for them, like, I hope everything goes well, and I hope that they give that baby as much as love as he deserves, because it was senseless for somebody to take his mommy, and that was the last thing that he ever seen, I guess. Yeah. You know what I feel like? I feel like when I seen everybody, at first it looked like Carlos and her were talking like fine, but then Miss Johnson popped up out of nowhere and started arguing too. Yeah, because all I know was she was yelling out that she dropped off her baby. But I honestly do feel like the cops did their job, because at the end, but my thing is, they did do the backtrack and they got my story. Everything was too crazy on the scene. They were all trying to like calm everybody down, and we were all screaming our heads off. You know what I mean? And it was like a huge scene. There was a lot of people around us, and one person even said like, "Oh, don't even give him your number. Don't even give him nothing. Why would you snitch? Why would you snitch?" And I was like, I'm not a bystander. I don't do that shit. Like, I'm not gonna have somebody just die right there and no one's gonna say anything. I was like, no one's helping her. I was like, she don't got nobody. He's over here all kissing her ass. I was like, I'm not doing that shit. I was like, what the fuck? Who was gonna speak up for her? And I was like in the crowd literally yelling at everybody, because I was like, this is not cool. Like, I don't know why everybody, and to think that even somebody from the crowd went up to him to shake up with him, and then on her, she got blood on her hand because he came up to shake up with her. Like, after he literally like was, I'm not just like, I'm just so, I was like, what the hell, like, what's going on? Like, and the girl was like, you got blood on my hand, bro, but like, you still went up to him to say what's up, you know what I mean? So to me, I was just like, what's going on, you know what I mean? But what I seen was, it was looking kind of funny, it was looking kind of weird. I was like, no one's gonna say anything. He's over here not even trying to tell nobody nothing. Besides that, what's it called? She was being like rude. She was being crazy, and that it was a self-defense. But from what I saw, it was not no self-defense. She was nowhere near you. Like, she was nowhere near you at all, like, whatsoever. She had nothing in her hands. She didn't have no gun. She didn't have no knife. She had her bare hands. She said, she was like, what? You want to keep acting like you come up to my car, bitch? Out, like, what? I could beat your ass, like, what, bitch? And she went to go get a gun. You know what I mean? Like, that was senseless. Like, I thought, like, we were, better than this. Like, I thought we were grown. You know what I mean? Like, where were you scared for your life to where you went to go get a gun? You know what I mean? Like, you already talking shit to her in front of her car, and you were telling her all kinds of shit for her to come out her car to tell you, like, what? You were saying you were gonna beat my ass, so come back over here, you know? Come beat my ass then, but then you wanna be like, nah, bitch, I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna shoot you. Carlos says, yeah, she's gonna go get her gun. She's gonna go get her gun. She'll shoot you. And boom, she gets shot because it was almost like, I don't know, it looked like a movie to me. You know what I mean? It was so like, I was so in shock to the point where I was like, is this even happening? You know? Yeah, I heard 5 rounds actually. Yeah, and the only reason the cop was on scene and he was unloading the gun and he was like, it froze. So the only reason why she stopped was because the gun got stuck. Otherwise, it probably would have she probably would have still kept shooting. I felt scared. I was literally screaming my head off. I was like, when I was witnessing it, I was close by the smoothie shop right there, and I ran back into the green line and I started telling everybody to stay in there because I didn't want anybody to get hurt. That they're shooting. She still has the gun while I'm on the phone with the cops. So it was crazy, because to the point where I was just like so scared to leave. There was little kids coming off the train, you know, going to school, you know what I mean? And it was like, I was like I don't know what else to do. Like, this is ridiculous, you know what I mean? What just went down? You know, I was like so in shock. Like, how did that just happen? Like, from an argument, from like, you know, like fighting with nothing, not like bare hands, you know, you went from that to a gun, you know, like and she's just I think she was smaller than her, you know. Like, I was just like, what's going on? Like, I thought he had her in a like almost a headlock looking. I was like, this is like over like excessive. And I kept saying that. I was like, this was excessive. I feel like this was too much. Like, you guys did too much. He was like, nah. And he literally came up to me. He's like, shut the fuck up, you snitch bitch. And he went up to my guy and he was talking about calm down. What's it called? Shut up already. No one wants to hear it, because he didn't want nobody to hear what we were saying, you know, because we like literally saw, like, my guy saw the last part and I saw like everything, you know. I was like, this is so sad. Like, and like, I watched her collapse and I saw, like, I was like, why wouldn't you go to her, like, you know, to hold her, to tell her, like, you know, like, why wouldn't you do anything, you know? But I don't know. It was just crazy to me. And I hope that, you know, me saying this is helping out. Like, that's pretty much all I have to say. And thank you for letting me talk. And I hope the rest of this video and whatever you have to say, you know, speaks the truth and allows everybody to understand what happened. You know, because I want everybody to know that she didn't have anything in her hands. She was, you know, defenseless herself towards somebody that had a gun, you know, and it didn't go down. I don't think she didn't think it was gonna go down like this, because she would have never got out of her car. I really don't think she would have if she saw the gun, you know. She just dropped off her kid. So she actually like somehow squeezed out of his chokehold, right? And when she squeezed out, that's when the girl, Miss Johnson, shot her. No, she wasn't. It looked like she was walking the other way. Like, she was going around her car. Yeah.
She was walking the other way. So did she shot her in the back, or how did she get in the face if she was walking the other way?
She shot her like, it looked like almost like near her, like her side of her face, you know, like she got shot almost by her chin, I feel like, and then her thigh, and then her side. And when I saw her fall, like, and you know, I saw the blood splatting from her face, you know. So to me, that's why I was like, you guys need to come fast. Like, this needs to, like, you know. It was so crazy. But thank you for letting me get it off my chest, and I hope that everything goes well. All right, and no matter what, I do send out prayers for her family and for her mama, you know, and